Hello, I decided to post this video. Um, I'm not trying to be cute, so I'm not much of a makeup person like that, and getting glammed up is not important. But my name is Jen, and I'm going to be posting a lot more content soon. But today I felt like it was a must to post a video concerning healing. I don't have any notes or anything like that. I'm just going to speak from the heart. The next time I will have other things to share and possibly notes and stuff. But today is just from the heart. It is imperative for us as women to heal these broken parts of ourselves. Of course, there'll always be a process of discovery about you concerning who you are. And I think the older we get, the more we probably have to reinvent ourselves. So for instance, let's say you were raising children and then all of your kids become adults and they leave the house. So now you're no longer taking care of them that way. So now you have to rediscover who you are outside of them. And so also, women who experience divorce for whatever reason, or who go into a different career choice, or whatever the case is, we always, all of us, male and female alike, we're always evolving. But the basis of this whole particular video is to just share how imperative it is for us to heal. Before you ever go out and really start dating, I think it is imperative for you to heal first. Spend time with you to know what triggers you. I think spending time with people who are going to be honest and authentic and transparent with you to tell you the truth about those things about yourself that are not so beautiful. Not in a condemning way, not in a badgering way or judgmental way, but in a way of telling you the truth, because it's not doing you a service if they walk around and hide from you really who you are, outside of what you gather about yourself. But dating is, I hear a lot of people say that's where you collect data, and that's true. But I feel like some of us are doing it too fast, like getting serious too fast. Like, it's nothing wrong with going out and having fun, but I believe to try to pursue a relationship in a serious way and knowing that you're broken and not really fully submitting that part of you that is really in search of love and acceptance. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but what I'm saying is sometimes we're not really realizing what we'll draw when we are so thirsty for love and acceptance and attention from the opposite sex. We will draw broken men who will not be equipped to love themselves, and they definitely won't be equipped to love you. So what you should be pursuing as a whole woman is a whole man. So when the two of you come together whole, you'll produce whole children. And if you get together for whatever reason and you aren't whole, I'm telling you, it's going to be a hard journey, because I have experienced that. The illustration I decided to use is one particular situation could be where, okay, you get married and that person is whole and things like that, but marriage is work. So you might have a bed of roses with some thorns. So that's a little tough, but it's not that bad. Okay, so that could be you being whole, him being whole, and you guys get together, have to go through a little thorns, because you're gonna have to work together to fuse the both lives and cultures together to raise children and family, fusing or collectively trying to mesh your worlds together underneath God's ordinances. And then you have the other illustration where you're not whole, he's not whole, and you came with your expectations, he came with his. All right. And there is not bed of roses and thorns. There are holes, there's potholes that you can't see. There are lions and tigers and bears, oh my, as well as fire on the other side of that, and a bridge to jump off of. So you can choose either way. And then on the other side of that bridge, there may be beauty on the other side. But look at what all you had to go through in order to get to the other side of the bridge to see if it's going to be beautiful or not. Do you even have the patience to tolerate that process of God making it into something because you chose fast? Because marriage isn't bad. It's just sometimes we're choosing too fast. And when we're choosing too fast and we're stepping outside of the will of God, we oftentimes, choose things that definitely becomes burdensome and troublesome, and then we're not realizing the people that will be hurt along the way. So if you get married and you're broken, he's broken, and you have children, they're going to see some things and experience some things that you can't erase from their memory. So that's why I am a huge advocate, for people to journey to wholeness and healing prior to them getting in relationships, because all too often, especially the Black church, we are not definitely pushed in ways to heal. We are pushed more so into hiding. And, you hide. They don't say it verbatim or literally, but they never really try to get to the root or the core of why you are how you are. So let's take somebody who is a whoremonger or somebody who likes to fornicate or whatever the case is. They just automatically want to just label them and say they're a whore or a womanizing, and let's just pray for them because that's the spirit, and God don't like that. But they're never going to sit down and really try to work with this person as to what is causing them to be so promiscuous and be so out here in the street giving up their body or taking advantage of women's bodies. Because for all too often it has become something that has been called normal, in the Black community. And I'm saying Black community not because I'm racist. It's just I'm a Black female and I'm just going off of my experiences. And now it's just time to pull the covers off, because Black churches, most, not all, do not really try to deal with root issues. They just want to condemn and judge and sit back and watch you be used in a way. Because if you gifted, they're going to use you, but they're not going to deal with the root as to the symptoms that they might see you behaving in or operating in. They will talk about it and judge it and maybe touch on it a little bit, but they're not going to be like, okay, so what is really going on? Like, or if they can't help you, maybe refer you to somebody else. And they definitely are not strong advocates, especially when I was coming up, about therapy. So now it's more so like accepted because people are on this mental health kick, and I applaud it, because I even too had to get to myself to say, hey, I can do Jesus, pray, talk to God, and let him be the ultimate healer, but I need some help with some practical day-to-day activity tools on how to manage my humanity outside of my spirituality, because the church deals with spirits and stuff, but they don't really try to deal with, me as a human. How do I handle this? Do this? And we know that ultimately it's supposed to be coming from, your tools about how to be a woman, per se, because I'm a female, should be coming from your mother. But let's just go back for a minute. If you've had, an upbringing in a house with a woman who doesn't know herself and she's uncertain about life and she's dealing with identity crisis and all that kind of stuff, and if she has multiple children, you just might not get all the tools you need. Okay, is not to shame or bash or say, hey, my mom wasn't this or my mom wasn't that, but it's just to tell the unadulterated truth about the fact that some of us are ill-equipped to be adults, to be women, to be men, and it starts from home in our community. So if you have home life that's not teaching you, then you go to church and they just use your gifts, but they're not looking at you as the person, as the individual that are struggling. But I've come to find out, and I mentioned this to somebody earlier today, that all too often, sometimes we look at the church community and we're like, why nobody helped me? Why nobody, put me to the side and tried to mentor me, or whatever the case is? Sometimes it's because they're ill-equipped as well. They have been taught to hide, and they've been taught to look over and brush things under the rug. That's what we do know. But it's not to say that it's okay. It's not. We just must consider everybody's story. We must consider, what were you taught? What tools were you given or weren't you given? I've recently had to really come to grips with the fact that, I had to really let some unforgiveness go concerning, the father of my son. There has been a lot of anger and bitterness and resentment that I had in my heart concerning him, but I know I can't move further in God if I don't let that weight go, because it is controlling every part of my life. And that was nearly 18 years ago, but it's still something that I was struggling with. And it's like God had to let me know, like, just pray for him, because at the end of the day, You chose it out of immaturity because you didn't know what you were doing. I was a teenager. He was a teenager as well. But I felt resentment because I felt like I had to grow up and do certain things. And he got away and never had to be responsible for this kid. And it's like, man, all too often that's the story. You know, the woman gets left with the child and she has to deal with the shame and the guilt of becoming a mother without being married or becoming a teenage mom. You know, hello, I did that. But it's like, you know, man, they get away with it or they get a pass. And, you know, I'm just realizing now, like, it's a need for men, you know, to go back and pull other men or boys, you know, and tell them like, hey, I went through that too. I struggled with my identity as well. And if you don't see that in the community, what do you expect from a man? You know, and see, when you're not whole and you're broken as well and you're looking for something there, oftentimes we're searching for our fathers and we go out there and we find our fathers, but that's just not what we really want. Not the healed version of us, because the healed version of me does not want the father that left and abandoned me and did not fight to be in my life. I don't want that, but that is what I went looking for without even knowing what I was looking for. And I found that, you know, in these partners and guys that I was dealing with. So we just have to be healed, because whatever you are, whatever's inside of you that's broken and that's in search of something, I promise you, you go out there looking, you're going to find it. All right. You're going to find it and you're not going to like it, because at some point in your life, hopefully you will get your eyes, you know, open. You will become aware that, hey, I'm a mess and I need to get fixed. And then once your eyes get open and you get fixed and start working on you, I'm here to tell you, you're going to be like, oh my God, what did I choose? You know, or not just saying like, oh my God, what did I choose? But then you should be moved to have compassion if you're willing. I mean, if your partner, whoever you're with, whoever you chose outside of, you know, your healed self, if they're willing as well to do the work with you, then I commend the both of you to stay together and stick it out and let God process you. But it is going to be a challenge. It's not going to be easy. You know, it's not going to be, you know, cake and ice cream. It's not going to be a sundae with cherry on top, you know, and chocolate drizzled and all that stuff. It's going to be hard work, because he has to undo these expectations that you came in with. He's going to have to now give you what you should want. And then you're going to have to sit back and let God mold you and mold that person. But you have to be willing as well as them, because if they're not willing, let them go. And then you just continue to heal, okay? And, you know, never settle just because you made a bad decision as well. Because a lot of times that's what we do. We beat ourselves up and then we feel like, okay, well, this is what I deserve. And if that person is not willing to heal, let them go. But before you even get to that point where you have to deal with that, the mess of being broken like that in a relationship, which will cause damage to children further down the line, let's just work on ourselves while we're by ourselves, okay? Like if you're single, whether you have a kid or kids or not, be single and be happy being single. Find joy definitely in being single, because if you don't, and you're out here, you know, subconsciously or inwardly battling with the fact of what's wrong with me, why no man don't want me, you're going to draw some guy that's going to, you know, come and fill that particular void, but it's not going to be in a good way. But he's going to come and prey on that. And you have to be very careful of what you're putting out, your aura. You know, people like to say your energy and all that stuff, because spirits is real. We attract what we are. So a lot of times, let's stop trying to put, you know, all the blame on the people that come in our lives and hurt us. And let's just look at the fact of, what did I give off in my body, in my being, and who I am that made this guy, you know, be drawn to me. And not just only him being drawn to me, because we can draw people whether we're healed or broken. But for me to entertain that nonsense, what was down inside of me that I didn't know about? And that's what we got to get to. That's the root of the issue, because it's too much of the pointing the finger and the blame, especially for us as women. We have to be honest. You know, oh, he was a deadbeat dad and he's no good. But what was in you that drew him? And what was in you that entertained him and slept with him in the first place? You know, because you couldn't have been healed. You couldn't have been whole, because if you were, you wouldn't have drawn that type of man. You just wouldn't. There's no such thing in my book as, you know, we're getting played. I think we play ourselves by ignoring signs because we got something inside of us that just wants to be loved and accepted. But a lot of times we don't know what that is because we're not giving it to ourselves. So find out what you like. Find out what you don't like. Find out who you are. Find out who you are outside of titles and positions that you have, like mothering. That ain't you. That's what you are at times with children. And that might be a position or a role you play, but that is not who you are. Because one day those kids will leave. Now you'll be their mom, but you won't mom in the same way. They might just call you for advice, and you just might see them at Thanksgiving and Christmas because they're going to move on with their life and live. So if you put your identity wrapped up and tied up, into just I'm a mom, and you never try to build on top of being that, something is going to be like off when them kids leave. If you have a career and you really love your business, whatever your business is, or you're working for a company, you really love it, and your identity is wrapped up and tied up in that, if something happens to that, you're going to be lost and you're going to be like, oh my God, like, who am I? So build on top of roles that you play, or don't necessarily put your focus in on wrapping your identity into your roles in the first place. Because for me, I had to recognize very early on that I put a lot of my identity into me being a mother because I was a mother before I was a wife, and I put my everything into it. And some people tell you like, well, aren't you supposed to? Now granted, you give of yourself, you sacrifice and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, what services am I doing to them? Or what disservice am I doing to them by me not taking care of me and finding out who I am so that I can then give them a full, healthy version of myself so that can spill over into their lives. So we have it twisted. Those of us who are raised by strong mothers, man, we need help because we feel like we can do it on our own. We don't need nobody's help. So God forbid he brings a guy in your life who is probably the best thing that could have ever happened to you. Not to say that you're not the bomb.com yourself, but you just know like you won't be even ready to receive that. So you can push that off and you can sabotage that thing. You can self-destruct and then, oh, he's just like the other guys. No, it's just you wasn't healed. You weren't whole. So he can come and be flawed, but still the best thing that could have ever happened to you. And like, hey, babe, let's work this thing out together. Let's do this together. I want to help you. I want to, you to help me, and being as honest and as vulnerable as he can be, if we're not in a place, we won't be able to accept or receive those things that can come into our lives that are really good and necessary for us. So I just wanted to get on here and say really quick, like, women, let's do our jobs. Whether you're raising boys or girls or both or none at this moment, because most of us do have children and then some of us don't already before we get married. But if you're raising children or not and you're single, like, please work on you, because when you get over here into the marriage side, it's going to be tough trying to figure out how to balance all that when you were jacked up when you got in here in this relationship in the first place, So that hard work should be just like, how can we mesh our worlds together? Not how can God break all of this stuff down that I came in with all this baggage that's negative, where that's going to be like probably 10 times more harder than if you had come in here with your work done and I came in here with my work done. So I don't want you to get it twisted like it's never gonna or like it's ever gonna be something where you're like, I'm just healed. But I think constantly we're gonna be healing. So if you're always in the process of healing, that means that you're always working on yourself, because where you see me at today, I shouldn't be there, in a month from now. I should be constantly moving in a direction of healing and discovery of me, because there might be some other stuff that I might find out along the way that I did not even know about, last year or last month, and the more I go to therapy, the more like I sit with myself, and then there's things that surface and I'm like, man, like, am I ever going to be done? And I think the answer is like, no. It's just going to be certain chapters of your life that you can be able to close, or you'll be able to close, but then there'll be certain ones that'll open up and you're like, oh my God, like I thought I was finished, But just think about it. Like, I'm 34 years old. Who knows what all is down inside of me that isn't healed, that needs to come up, that needs to even be brought to my awareness. Because some things I already am aware of and already came into my marriage aware of. But then there's some things where it's like, hold up, this new. Like, I never seen this before. I didn't even know this was down in there. So it's just a constant process. And I just ask you all, like, you know, for the next generation, whether you're going to ever have children or not, but, you know, you got nieces, nephews, friends with kids, or just the next generation, period, whether you're not even tied to people with children, but these people need to see healed versions of colored women, white women, whatever type of nationality you are. They need to see us healing and doing our work and stop thinking that we're super women. Like, we can do a lot, but at the end of the day, we know that that stuff gets to us when we take our capes off and we lay down at night and we're like, oh my God, like, I am beat, and who's going to feed me? You have to be responsible for feeding you and giving you what you need. And then anything else outside of that should just add to what you're already doing to yourself and for yourself. So if you didn't hear anything else I said, if you don't want to listen to any more other videos that I might even make later on down the line, please take heed to the fact that I said that it is important for you to heal and do your work before you ever link up with anybody in a relationship. It can be friendships, it can be partnerships, it can be marriages. Heal. Have a good day.